Yes. And that is, been addressed. See Ms. Lawrence back in the courtroom. We'll go back on the record in the state of Florida versus Susan Lawrence. I see Ms. Lawrence back in the courtroom. Everyone ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Anything anyone needs to bring up before we bring the jurors back?
No, sir.
Let's bring them back.
Are you able to increase the volume at all?
Yes. I think and statements are pertinent only to explain the reactions and responses they elicit. You are not to consider these opinions and statements by the police officer as true, but only to establish the context of Susan Lawrence's reactions and responses. You are about to hear recorded conversations. These recorded conversations are proper evidence, and you may consider them just as any other evidence. You are also being furnished transcripts of the recorded conversations. The recordings are the evidence, and the transcripts are provided to you only as a guide to help you follow as you listen to the recordings. The transcripts are not evidence of what was actually said or who said it. If you notice any difference between what you hear on the recordings and what you read in the transcripts, you must rely on what you hear, not what you read.
May I provide the jury the transcript, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
hoping that we could do that today.
Okay.
Obviously, just like last time, I want to make sure that you understand your rights and everything. So before we get started, I just have to read you the same thing I did last time. Yes. Okay. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer with him, have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to execute these rights, not answer any questions, or make any statements. Do you understand each of those rights I've explained to you? Okay. And having those rights in mind, you willing to talk to us now?
Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, we've talked to a bunch of other people since then. Has there been anything that you've thought of since you and I have last talked, in person at least, that you can remember that maybe at the time, because there was a lot of emotions and, you know?
I don't know what else I could tell you honestly.
Okay. So nothing that happened that night that you didn't remember at the time, or you just, like I said, there was a lot going on that you maybe didn't think to
I
say?
don't know what to tell you because I thought I told you everything.
Okay, all right. So some of the things, like I said, we were just trying to clarify because we were in the room together for a while talking, and we went over a lot of different things. So one of the things I wanted to clarify with you is, and try to understand better, is when Ajika was at the door, when she approached the door, when was it that you realized that it was her coming to the door?
Because I said, who's there?
Okay, how did you know someone was there initially? Was it
There
because?
was a huge banging.
Okay.
Just pounding at that door.
Okay. So initially, there was no words, it was just the pounding?
Yeah.
That's what started
Yes.
the interaction there?
Yes.
And where was the pounding at initially, where it first began?
It was banging, it was yelling. I thought she was just gonna break down the door.
Okay,
So, I mean, my heart was pounding and I was like, she's really gonna kill me.
okay,
That's all
so
I felt.
when she first came up and where were you when she started the
I
beating,
was
the
in the
very first
bathroom.
time? You were in the bathroom
Yeah.
when she started beating?
Yeah.
And did you come to the door?
Well, I was approaching the door and then she started screaming and I knew who it was. And I
Okay.
said, that's it, I'm not opening this door.
Okay,
And because I figured if she came in, she'd be just absolutely, pounding into the ground.
all right, and then when it became silent, after that first round of beating on your door, where were you at then? Did you go,
And I went to wash my hands, honestly,
okay,
because I didn't know who was at the door and I wanted to know, and then I was,
okay,
so I went back and washed my hands.
okay.
So,
So that's during the time where it was kind of quiet, and you
Yes.
thought that maybe she went away?
mhm.
Okay. And when the banging and the yelling started again, where were you at then?
think I was in the kitchen.
Okay. All right, and then what happened?
And then she just kept banging and yelling, I'm like, you need to leave, you're trespassing, get off my porch, you know, get out of here, you know, I'm not talking to you, leave.
Okay, who else was outside the door besides
I have
Adrica?
no idea,
You don't know?
I have no idea.
Where were the other kids? Because I know the kids had been over there prior to her coming over,
Yeah,
or?
they were right by the, you know, where the fence is, and then there's a sidewalk. They were right beyond that sidewalk, inside where it's supposed to be no trespassing.
Okay, so they were outside of the fence while she was banging on the door?
I have no idea.
Oh, you're not sure?
No, I have no idea.
Okay.
You asked me when the kids were there earlier.
Right.
So, and the kids finally, you know, I went inside. I figured they left.
So you didn't know who else was out there
No.
at that time?
No.
Okay. So you went to the kitchen and she was still pounding on the door and yelling? And I know we've kind of gone over this a lot, but I want to make sure, now we're getting more like in order of things, because the first time we talked, it was kind of just like, it all came out all at once. And now that you've had a little bit of time to kind of think about things that happened again and try to get it in a good order that things happen, because it's very important to be able to say, okay, this happened first, this is what happened next, so that we don't get them confused or anything.
Okay.
So after that initial silence where, well, I wouldn't say silence, but it got quiet, you were washing your hands in the bathroom, and then the pounding and the yelling started again, and you went to the kitchen. What were you doing in the kitchen? Just,
I was looking for my phone.
okay,
So I put my phone down somewhere and I started panicking. I started searching for the phone. And then she just kept banging and banging and banging. I'm going to kill you, you know, get out of here, you know. And I'm like, I have nowhere to go. I mean, I was in the kitchen. There was the sliders, and the sliders always locked. And just that one door, so there's no escape.
okay.
I couldn't leave. I couldn't get out of there. I was like, Jesus Christ. And she was pounding so hard. The mirror on my wall was shaking.
Okay, so that first, I'm sorry to go back, but that first time that she pounds on the door, how long do you think that lasted before there was kind of the silence? I know you said she hit the door, you said, who's there? And that was it.
Probably 5-10 seconds she was pounding the first time.
Okay. And then when it started again, how long, and I'm gonna jump ahead just a little bit, but we'll kind of come back. When she started pounding on the door again and saying all that stuff to the point where you fired the gun, how long do you think that lasted?
2 to 5 minutes.
2 to 5 minutes.
I don't know,
Oh,
it just, everything's kind of, it was a while. I mean, it was a while. I kept thinking, okay, you guys are gonna show up, you know, because I had called earlier and no one was coming. I'm like, shit, couldn't find my phone. And she was just banging and banging, screaming at me, telling me, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. I'm like, she's really gonna kill me this time. That's all I kept thinking. She's literally gonna come in this house and kill me.
Okay. When did you find your phone? At what point?
After I shot her. I just started searching the house frantically until I found it, and I wanted to make sure that I called and said, you know, I shot, because I heard her go, ugh. You know,
Where was your phone?
I think it was in my computer room.
In the computer room? Okay.
So, let me just understand this a little better, because I'm not really sure. So, the woman that got shot, what is her name?
AJ.
AJ, right, it's AJ.
Yeah.
Okay, and how long have you known her?
I really didn't know her. I just, you know, she was a neighbor across the street.
Okay, so how long has she been a neighbor across the street from you? Help me understand that.
A year and a half, 2 years.
Okay, year and a half and 2 years. And in that year and a half and 2 years, how many times have you guys been able to talk?
We've never talked. It's more like screaming.
No, okay, all right. So maybe the better word would be communicate. How many times have you guys been able to communicate in that year and a half or 2 years?
2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times. And in those 2 or 3 times over a year and a half and 2 years, what were you guys screaming about? What were you guys communicating about?
She would take her dog and walk it on my sidewalk to make sure it's shit on the sidewalk. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know, of all the places you can walk and take your animal, you're going to come here. And
Sure.
She said it's the only place.
Okay, so you guys would have a disagreement regarding that, some screaming regarding the dog pooping where it shouldn't. What else would you guys communicate about in that 2 or 3 times?
Then one time she was talking to the neighbors and she said, oh, that bitch over there is crazy. And I went, no, I'm not going to, you know, sorry. I walked over, I said, what is your problem? And she just went on a tirade. I have never heard someone scream like this woman. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, she exploded. And I'm like, oh, shit.
How long ago was that?
2 months ago.
2 months?
2 months ago. And then she was saying I called her kids all kinds of names, and I'm like, no, I didn't. And the more I said no, the more irate she got. Finally, I'm like, you know what, let me just back off, say yes, I'll apologize, and scurry away.
What kind of things was she saying that you called her kids?
That I called them racial slurs, that I called them slaves, and that's never happened. I mean, when she said, I'm like, why don't you stop already, stop lying.
Okay, but then we're talking about what happened there today, and this woman that she passed away. You said that you guys have yelled at each other 3 or 4 times in about a year and a half to 2 years. Is that right?
Yes.
And the last time she yelled at you a lot. Did you ever? I worked as a patrol deputy for years before becoming a detective. Did you guys ever get in like a fight in the street or anything like that? No, nothing like that.
You gotta be kidding me. I'm sorry.
I gotta ask. I guess I don't know you that well.
No.
Did she ever brandish a weapon or anything like that, or something?
The only thing she ever did is she picked up the no trespassing sign and threw it at me and hit me.
Okay. And I know that the police came out a lot of times. Did the police ever come out for that time when she threw the sign?
Yeah, and then everybody in the neighborhood said, oh, we didn't see anything.
Okay.
So it was a he said, she said, so they said they couldn't charge anything.
Sure.
I'm like, all right.
And obviously you have a firearm. I haven't had a chance to ask you about this. Now, is that a gun that you've had for years? Or you just had it for a couple weeks? Help me understand that.
No, over a year.
Okay, over a year. And
somewhere.
where do you normally keep that secured in the house?
That's usually next, it was in a garbage can next to my bed.
Okay. And is it like?
Now, that was the Remington that you're talking about that you got over a year ago?
Yes.
Okay, so when we were at the house, there was the other one,
Yes.
the 22,
The
was a
Ruger.
Ruger.
Mhm.
How long have you had that firearm?
A few months.
Just a few months?
Yeah, not very long. And the only reason I did it is because it was so expensive to shoot the Remington.
Oh, the 380 rounds were
The 380, yeah,
expensive,
way
yeah.
more expensive. So I got the little plinker, just target practice and stuff like that.
Are you experienced with firearms? You got 2 guns, and it sounds like you have the little plinker, and you know about the price of ammo. Are you well versed with them?
I used to be terrified of firearms.
Uh-huh.
And then a friend said, you really can't defend yourself. He said, you should think about getting a gun.
Okay.
So,
When did you first get a gun? Was it?
first bought a 9mm, but it was just way too much gun for me, so I sold it.
Uh-huh.
And then I got the little 380.
Okay. And did you go to any kind of training for those using guns, like going to the range, or tell me about that?
Went to the range, watched videos, all the other stuff, self-educating, and I was going to go take a permit to carry course,
Sure.
and I didn't get around to it.
Yeah, okay. So you were self-training yourself, you had plans to do that in the future, but it didn't come to that. So thank you for helping me understand that. And describe to me, AJ, you've only had these arguments with her a few times, but what I'm confused about is that we're talking about her banging on it 3 times, and then there's the pause, and there's everything else you just described in Detective Stitt. And you said that this was the time that she was going to come and kill you. That's confusing to me because it sounds like you guys really didn't have any other times that she was going to come and kill you.
No, she was saying she's going to kill me. I mean, she was verbalizing it. She was saying, I'm going to kill you.
Okay.
That's how, it's not like this is the time she's going to come and kill me. I
So
mean,
I'm trying to get into your mind, and I'm trying to be brought to that moment to why you believe that. And we were talking, you were in the bathroom, then you were in the kitchen. I mean, I know that she's saying something, and you're inside your house, and she's on the other side of that wall and that door. Were you able to ever see her to see if she had anything in her hands?
There's no peephole.
There's no peephole, thanks. Okay. Were you able to look through a window or anything to see if she had anything in her hands or anything? Okay. So you don't know if what's going on, but you can hear her voice.
Yes.
And you said that she's hitting the wall hard enough that, was it the door?
The mirror.
That the mirror's moving?
Yes.
And she's hitting the door?
She's hitting me.
Okay. There's no peephole or anything like that. You don't know who all's out there, but you can hear her voice?
Yes.
Okay. What made you shoot that spot on the door? It sounds like that's
She wouldn't move away. Finally, I'm going to kill you, and that was the last time, and I just fired the weapon.
okay. Was there a spot you picked or something like that?
I just kind of, there was the door, I knew she was at the door, shot the door.
So since the last time you and I talked, I went in the house, we, did the stuff inside the house as far as photographing, looking at where everything is at related to where the door is. And you said you had shot from the kitchen, so when you come in, it's like
Kitchen
a
table.
kitchen table?
The table that's there, the 2 seats with the table.
Okay.
That's where I shot from.
That's where you shot from. Okay. like right next to it
Yes,
or like further back?
it was, I remember the table being there.
Okay, how were you holding the gun when you fired it?
Like
With
that.
2 hands?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you were initially in the kitchen when, well, you went to the restroom and then you were in the kitchen looking for your phone
Mhm.
while she was pounding on the door. And you said that this, you believe it was between 2 and 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Was that total time before, from when the first pounding started to the time that you fired the shot, 2 to 5 minutes? Or do you think it was shorter time than that or
To
longer?
me, it seemed like 2 to 5 minutes.
2 to 5 minutes
More-
total?
Well, by the time I shot the weapon, at least 5 minutes.
Okay.
So-
Did she ever try to open that glass sliding door or open the door handle or anything like that? Or was it just the pounding?
I just remember her pounding and pounding and pounding.
Okay. So you said that you kept the firearm in the trash can in the bedroom, so at some point, did you go,
Yes,
so you thought about it and said, I might need this, or?
absolutely. I mean, I got terrified. I mean, I was so terrified she was gonna come in and kill me.
Okay, so you left the kitchen area?
Yes.
And that's when you went to your bedroom?
Yes,
Okay. Where was the other gun at that time, do you know?
I thought it was right there.
The Ruger?
That's the
Is there, and I just want to be clear, 2 to 5 minutes from the first time she pounded to the time where you felt in danger enough to pull the trigger?
Yeah.
Okay. And how many times, I know this is, how many times do you think she was hitting your door during that time frame that you believe is about 2 to 5 minutes?
She just kept pounding it, just kept pounding it and pounding it.
You, so, just
She was
more
screaming.
than 5, more than 50? Like,
God, it had to be, I don't know, I can't even speculate. I just remember her pounding and pounding and screaming and yelling.
okay. And did you call 911 immediately after?
As soon as I
Fired the
found my
shot?
phone.
Okay, how much time do you think after you fired the shot?
A few seconds.
So within a
Less than-
minute?
within a
And
minute,
you
yes.
immediately called
Yes.
911? Did you call anyone else before?
No.
Did you call anyone else after?
No, I don't think so, because you guys were here. I mean, you guys came right away,
Okay.
so.
Okay. So we're just trying to figure out where some of these, we heard that you said the F word and the B word. These are what the kids are saying that
I
that day.
definitely dropped F-bombs.
Okay, and
definitely.
what are you saying the F word to?
Pick your fucking shit up.
Referring to stuff on the ground or
Yeah.
something?
Mhm.
And when we, sure. Okay. So Detective Stith has been talking to you about the timeline, okay? And some of the work we've done. Now, this is a picture that I draw. I'm not an artist at all, but when I tell you some of the work we've done, we spoke to all the people over. This is your house, by the way, Okay, this
Okay.
is, we'll put an S for you.
Mhm.
We spoke to everybody in these buildings, we spoke to them all in these buildings, and we talked to anybody that had cameras that would see different areas. These cameras, they hear things. We're able to hear audio, we're able to hear things like that. And everyone that we interviewed, I pretty much got the same, Detective Stiff, I think we all got the same statement from every single person we interviewed. We lined up, well, we didn't line them up. These people were interviewed in different locations. Some of them were interviewed in different buildings, in different places. I interviewed them at different houses, and all these people provided me similar statements, okay? No one that provided these, now these people could hear her talking, okay? Because she was talking loudly. You said that you could hear her through the wall, and I can
Yes.
agree with that, okay? She made a statement, something to the effect of, why'd you take my kid's iPad? Okay, somebody heard her say that.
I never touched an iPad. I never saw the iPad. I don't know
Yeah.
what this iPad is
A
about.
tablet or something
I
like that?
have-
Did you-
Again, no tablet, no iPad, no electronics at all. It
Sure.
was never there, or at least I never saw it.
Okay.
So I have no idea.
Was
what
she,
the hell-
maybe she's wrong, but was she asking you about a tablet or accusing you of something with a tablet or an iPad? I don't know if it's an iPad or a tablet.
Could've.
She could have?
She could've.
Okay, you seem unsure of some of the stuff she's saying through the door. Did she say, you're not really sure if she said that?
She could have said it during her rants.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's saying these things. The thing is everything that we've learned so far, I have not learned of her ever saying to you that she wanted to get into the house. It sounded more like she wanted to talk to you outside of the house.
How do you want to talk to outside the house when you're banging and screaming?
Yeah.
That's not reasonable.
One of the people
and prudent.
she said, come outside.
That's not, I'm sorry,
Come
that's
on.
not what?
It's not reasonable and prudent. I mean, you just don't, bang and expect someone to come out. Yeah, I think I'll come outside so
Right.
you can,
Well, I know. I mean,
seriously.
what I'm learning, what these people said is that she was saying to come outside. She wanted to confront you about something. She wanted you to come outside. Do you remember her making statements and asking you to come out there and talk to her?
I honestly don't recall.
Okay, so you don't remember that, and you seem unsure about some of the statements she made about the tablet. No one that we've interviewed so far has made any statements about her saying that she wanted to kill you.
That's what I heard.
Okay. You said you were so in fear and you're shaking. Is your memory affected regarding this incident in some way?
I just remember being terrified that she was banging and screaming, and I just remember hearing her say, "I'm going to kill you." Her son, earlier in the night, before I called the police, I don't know how old he is, but he said, "I'm going to make sure you get killed tonight."
Which son? She has two sons.
I know. I remember. It was one of her sons, but he was there. He's like, "I'm going to make sure you get killed. I'm going to make sure that you know." And I'm like, "What the hell is going on?"
Has this person ever shown you a weapon or anything like that?
No, but I mean, the little kid said it, and then all of a sudden his mom's coming over and she's banging and screaming, and
Now I asked you this earlier. You said you can't see out there, but you've only seen her a few times.
Mhm.
What means does she have to harm you through the wall?
like I said, she was banging so much, everything was shaking and moving.
Now that house,
Which I couldn't believe because it's a cement block house.
that was my next question. So it's a cement block house, and the door, the deadbolt was activated, right?
The deadbolt was activated,
Okay.
right? And you
I
just didn't
don't-
have the chain lock?
I was gonna say, I remember I didn't have the chain. I'm not quite sure if I had the deadbolt on or not.
Okay. I believe the last time we talked, you said you had the deadbolt, but you didn't want to get back close to the door to do the chain, is from what I recall. And you said you had the extra long deadbolt just installed, what was it, recently?
Charles did it.
Okay, Charles.
So that's what the deadbolt's activated, the door's closed, it's a block house. I'm just trying to understand what made you so in fear of this woman if you have these things between you.
When we had spoken previously on the other time when she screamed at me and I finally acquiesced, I said, whatever you want, I'm so sorry. She followed me, a foot behind me, up until I went into the house. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, she gave me the creeps.
What happened during that incident where she followed you? What was the conversation?
She said, oh, you called my kids, I think a nigger and a slave or something stupid like that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Yes, I'm sorry. I apologize. And I finally said, I'm going to leave this alone. I don't need, to get killed in the street.
Did she tell you if she had recordings of you saying that?
I have
Or
no
like
idea.
one of the kids?
I have no idea.
But you apologized and she continued to follow you anyway?
Yeah, she followed me anyway.
How far did she follow you?
Like right up to where I go in by the wood.
By the fence
Yeah.
that, okay. And then what happened after that?
She finally. Never called anyone a slave.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Never.
thought you said,
No, no,
sorry
no.
for it.
I said I'm sorry for it because I didn't know how else to diffuse the situation.
Okay, so, you told her that you did say that, but you're saying that you were saying it to diffuse the situation?
Yes, absolutely.
So have you ever called any of those kids?
So, Susan, I'm looking at this from the outside here, and this really is not adding up to me. You used the word reasonable and prudent earlier. That's an interesting series of words to use. That's like a series of words that we use as law enforcement officers when we try to look at things. And there's a big jump here that you're making logically that I can't seem to make the jump. I'm having a really hard time getting there. You've known this woman for 1.5 to 2 years. Your only communications were 2 to 3 times. The dog's pooping, and then there was another time where you called her, you said, I'm sorry about calling your kids some names, and she followed behind you. You thought that was creepy. She's never threatened you. She's never displayed a firearm towards you. She starts yelling on your patio area, banging hard on your door, which your door is locked, and then you're scared. Now, you're saying that you're scared, which, okay, I can get to that. I can get to that point that you're scared there's someone knocking on your door.
No, it wasn't knocking, it was pounding.
Pounding. There's someone pounding on your door. Right. There's someone pounding on your door. They're pounding on your door, and I can't get to the point where pounding on the door leads to you being hurt or killed. I can't get
Because
that.
I thought she was gonna break the door down. The door, you could see that it was all repaired and re-repaired and all that crap like that, so I never felt that door was secure.
You have an extended deadbolt, and you've never been in any kind of violent situation where someone's kicked in your door or like Kool-Aid Man through your entire wall. There has not been that situation. So I'm trying to do the reasonable and prudent. I'm trying to come into your shoes there, and I'm having a hard jump there because describe to me, AJ, what does she look like?
Tall black woman, heavyset,
Okay. Does she have a very muscular? You've only known her for 1.5 years. You only had so many communications. I mean, is she like a muscular person that's able to, like, I don't know, do extreme feats of strength? Does she weight train in her front yard? Help me understand this.
No, I don't.
That's what I'm trying. I'm having a hard time with
He's
this.
not being facetious, he's just trying to
Yeah.
understand
I'm
how
just-
we got from the point of someone.
And I don't see how that is entire. Were you on alcohol or anything like? I gotta ask these questions. Were there anything in your mind that would impair yourself in your judgments?
I took Belbuca earlier in the day.
What is that?
It was for my back.
Okay, is that a narcotic?
Yes.
I'm not a muscle relax. I'm guessing here.
No, it's a pain reliever.
Okay, it's a pain reliever.
Mhm.
And does that have like something on the bottle that it would?
It's a film.
Okay, does that like don't use motor vehicles or something like that? What does it do to you? How does it make you feel?
It just makes me sleepy.
It's
Okay.
called, what is it called?
Belbuca,
Belbuca.
Belbuca.
Okay.
Does that have to do with your artery issue in your kidney?
No, I had a car wreck. So I had a fusion in my lower back. I'm sorry, fusion in my neck, and then laminectomy in my lower back.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got this thing that goes backwards, so I have some issues.
Okay.
And I have a torn rotator cuff.
Okay. I have to ask, a head injury which would impair your memory or affect your memory or anything like that?
I don't remember. I think I hit my head on the steering wheel from the accident.
Okay. Do you suffer time and spatial memory issues where you can't remember certain amounts of time and things like that? And the reason that I ask that is you have indicated that this was somewhere between like 5 to 10 minutes or something. Am I getting that right, Detective Stiff? Okay. From the cameras that we've looked at in the area here, this incident did not last for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from the people that we spoke to, there's aspects of this that I can agree about. She's talking loud. She's banging on that door. We're going to agree with that. But the actual number of knocks, you did 3 knocks, and then you said there was a pause.
I never said 3.
Well, you said bang, 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 and then she stopped, which I counted 3. Now,
Okay.
if there was something different, you can tell me. I'm just
Okay.
I was remembering earlier. You said bang, bang, bang. There was 3. Then she stopped, and then she continued to, and then what happened happened.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing has led me to believe as an investigator that it was like 5 to 10 minutes, okay?
Okay, maybe it just seemed like it was longer.
Okay,
Probably because, the adrenaline rush and just getting so upset. And
sure. Whenever adrenaline comes in, it can make things seem like they stretch out. From some of the other statements we've got, some of the things that we've learned, it sounds more like there was 3 knocks and then there was 3 more and then she was shot. It sounds like this was very quick. It sounds like this was like within a span of less than 20 seconds is what I would say. Is it possible that your time is off on this?
it could be.
Okay.
Because to me, it felt like forever.
Okay.
So
if this is like what's being described as a 20-second, this is a brief encounter. It's a brief encounter with loud banging, with loud yelling. The statements that some of the statements that you're saying occurred, like I'm going to kill you and those kind of threats. No one else has heard you. No one else has heard her make those statements.
okay.
Okay, in your head. Are you not sure about some of the things we've talked about today? Regarding some of the things you're saying that you heard, is it possible she never threatened you at all?
Oh, I swear to God, I thought she said, "I'm going to kill you." I mean, that's why I just panicked. As soon as those words came out of her mouth, I was like, Jesus Christ, she's going to kill me.
Okay. And how did you imagine yourself being killed? Remembering that there's that block wall, that door, how was she going to be able to do that? What makes you think that she was able to do that?
She was still pounding, but that she could have come right through that glass wall. I mean, the glass door.
Well, we talked
there's-
about pounding on the door. Did she ever pound on the glass wall? Is it a window or wall? Help me.
It's doors. It's sliders.
Glass sliding door.
Yeah.
She pound on that?
She may have. I don't know. All I kept thinking is she's going to gain entrance. She's going to kill me.
And that's why I asked you earlier if you recalled, if she tried to, was that door locked, the sliding glass door? Does that say, do you have like anything
I
on that?
had I think there was a wood piece
In
there.
the slider?
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't recall if she tried that door?
I just remember lots of pounding.
Lots of pounding.
Just to me, it was just an enormous amount of pounding, screaming, yelling, and I felt like she was going to come through that door.
And I think Detective Pender touched on it. Like in your head, what during the panic, during all these thoughts, what did you feel that was going to happen?
And she's going to come in there and beat the shit out of me until I was dead.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I felt. I mean, I don't understand why she came over my house. If there was all these issues and problems, why didn't she just call somebody? That's, to me, that's what you would do if you're normal. That's a normal thing to do. If something happens to me, I call the police. Like, okay, the kids are being run or she's banging and, but when I couldn't find my phone and everything, I was just like, shit. I honestly, I felt she was going to kill me.
Okay, so during that time, you had hung up with 911. You still estimate approximately 10 minutes before the banging started.
Yes.
And then you saying anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes or longer that the banging and the yelling lasted. However, as Detective Pender mentioned, we've reviewed video.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked to multiple people out there who all kind of give the similar. I mean, everybody's perspective is different, and that's why I asked you this same question a couple of times, because people's perspectives, we could be both looking at the same thing, and later on, you asked me one, you asked us the same question, and we have different reactions, different answers, because we focus on different things, we remember different things, that's why everybody's unique, and that's just the way it is. But to be that similar in some of the specifics of what we're really looking at, we're talking about a very tight, a much more tighter time frame of this incident that happened at your front door before that shot was fired. So is that possible? Is that feasible that it was a shorter time frame?
To me, it felt, I mean, I'm giving you what I felt and what I thought it was.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
Now that you're out of the moment, I mean, do you think that she could somehow get through that wall now that you're out, now that you're not in the house anymore, and that
I
you?
still feel that fear. I just still feel she was coming at me. I'm sorry, it's what I feel.
Okay.
I've just, it's been playing in my head over and over again, and I just kept thinking of that and how terrified I was.
Was your goal to shoot and kill her?
No.
What was your goal?
To shoot and hopefully, she'd hear the shot and dissipate.
But you took aim at the door, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And the goal was to strike the door and to dissipate it. I'm having a really hard time making this jump here, that this unarmed person on the other side of the wall is somehow gonna get into your house and kill you. I'm just really having a hard time getting there. Some of these doors open inwards, outwards. I don't know which way your door opens. Which way does it open? It opens outward?
I think it opens out.
Okay. So it
Opens inwards.
opens inwards. Okay. So I'm really having a hard time understanding, like, how if you could go back in time, would you not do what you did? Would you take it back and I don't know, wait however long it took for the police to get there? I'm trying to understand that. Do you feel like you did something wrong here?
I did what I felt I had to. That's all I felt. I just felt that terror. I mean, it was sheer terror.
So I went out to the house that morning, when I met you out there. First of all, I looked at the door. We processed the door just to see what areas might have been touched by AJ. I looked at the door frame where it had been repaired. It looked like there was a type of putty or something used where the wood frame had been separated. I examined the deadbolt lock, the strike plates were in there pretty fastened, pretty securely. The bottom lock, just the doorknob lock. And even with the door closed, I stood on the outside. There were no indentations, no dents in the door anywhere that I could see. And I'm not trying to take away the fears of being scared and everything, because I think that is a legitimate, scary situation to be put in. But to justify to go from being scared to a point where you're taking deadly force on someone who's standing on the other side of the door and you don't even know where you're shooting at. That's a big jump, and I think that's where Detective Pender is.
It could have been one of the kids standing there or something.
But it was her standing there. I mean, I heard her voice.
Sure, but some people don't talk. They're more quiet. So you've never had a break-in there before, right?
No.
Okay, no break-ins there. There's the rod in the track. Did you have? I know that you still spoke to this woman 2 or 3 times before. Did you speak to her earlier that day on Friday?
No.
Okay, so you didn't talk to her earlier that day, Friday. There wasn't. Did you have any conflicts with anybody in particular on Friday at all?
Just the kids when they, well, it wasn't a conflict. I just told them, come on, stop trespassing, move along, take it. The kids kept putting things out. They had marbles by my truck. They put their skates out. I tripped over the skate one morning that I had to leave very early, and I'm like, crap. And I'm like, stop leaving your freaking toys here. I'm not the most stable person, with my knees and stuff like that. So when I'm walking, if I fall again, who the hell knows what's going to happen between my back and my knees and the other injury. And I don't understand why they just keep leaving their crap there. And I'm like,
That sounds frustrating.
It's extraordinarily frustrating.
You said there was a skate. Was there something that happened with the skate on Friday?
When the kids were there, yeah, they keep leaving the skates really close to the house. I'm like, stop already, you know, because when you go around, you do stuff and you're bringing packages in, sometimes I bring the truck up. I'm like, I'm gonna walk over your skates and shit. I'm like, pick your damn shit up.
Uh-huh.
So,
So where were those skates when you picked them up?
I wanna say they were, maybe 5-6 feet of the sidewalk.
On the grass?
Yes,
Okay. And you took some photograph, or took a photograph of that with your phone?
yes,
Okay. And there was a video at some point, it looked like you were taking a picture or a video through the screen from you being inside
Yes.
to them outside? Because it looked like there was a bunch of them kind of further out in the field, but there was a lot of kids playing out there, and I
it was
guess.
the screaming, you heard
Yeah,
how much
yeah.
they were screaming over the
Yeah.
TV.
Okay, so when you went out there, and one of AJ's kids was out there, and this is around the time frame where you threw the skates out into the yard or something
Yes.
like that. But this is also, so that was what was reported to us from a few people.
Yes.
But also during that time frame was where that tablet situation came up. So is there
I
any
don't
reason?
know what this tablet thing is.
It's like
What-
a Amazon tablet, electronic tablet.
I never
you know?
saw the tablet, never, he kept saying, where's my tablet, where's my tablet? I had black.
Oh, so he did ask you
Oh, yeah.
about it, but you
Yeah.
didn't have it.
Of course not.
So you never.
I
moved
never
or
saw
picked
it,
up?
never picked it, never touched it up, nothing.
Why would he make that part up if?
I have no idea.
Because he said, and it really doesn't change.
Doesn't change.
It doesn't change anything.
Helps
I'm
us
just trying to
understand
understand. He said that he was going to the basketball courts after they played in the field. And he's like, I forgot my tablet, and he comes over and he sees you holding it, and he
I've
says,
never,
put
no,
it down.
no.
And you kind of tossed it down, and then that's when you threw the skates, and one of them hit him in the toe or the foot
No.
or something like that.
No, because they were standing here and I threw it with my left hand.
Okay.
I made sure that I just threw them over to the other side, never
And that's
touched
when you
each
told
other.
him to fetch or something? You
Yes.
said you told him to
I
fetch
said, you
it?
can go fetch it over there now.
Okay.
Because he said, give me my skates.
Mhm.
Give me your skates. I'm like, here, go get them.
You already had them in your hand at that point?
I
He said,
think
give them
so.
to you? Okay. What were you gonna do with them?
Just throw them on the other side, just get them away.
But you don't remember the tablet or anything
There
like
was
that?
never I never saw a tablet, never touched a tablet, never, I don't know where the hell the tablet came from. So I have no idea.
And then the situation with the umbrella, I know we had talked about it a little bit before, but, do you remember who that was out there when, was that when, excuse me, was that when the older, AJ's older came over? What was he saying to you?
That's when he has said, I said, you guys need to leave. He said, I don't need to leave. I can go anywhere I want. It's, I have, I forget what the hell he said. Just something to the effect that I have no limits where I can go. I'm like, okay.
Okay, but he wasn't the one that was there when you tossed the roller skates into the yard? It was the other child?
It
Or do
should
you
have been
remember?
both boys.
Were they both there with the
I'm
roller
gonna say,
skate thing?
yeah.
Okay, so when you came out, the umbrella that was behind your door, was that the
Mhm.
one?
Yes.
Okay, and what exactly happened with that? Because that's another one of those things where we were talking to
Mhm.
people who were right there,
Mhm.
kind of, they already heard some yelling
Mhm.
and back and forth, so they're kind of watching, and
I may have been trouble with my hands. So,
swinging the umbrella.
yeah, just, come on, guys, leave, and
Okay.
gesturing. So
How
it
far
was-
away were they when you were doing this?
Oh
And
my
where do you
gosh.
think you were at?
I remember being on the sidewalk, and then they were at least 5-7 feet away from me.
Okay.
They weren't even close.
What did they do when you were swinging it around?
Nothing.
They didn't do anything?
No, there was no reaction.
They didn't say anything? They didn't back away?
I honestly don't recall.
Okay.
It didn't rain on Friday. Why did you have an
I
umbrella?
thought it was raining. We had precip, and I thought when the kids got quiet that it rained finally and they went home.
So that's why you had the umbrella out?
Yes.
So it sounds like there's a lot of things going on with the kids that day. It sounds like you're
Yes,
And there's already been that prior incident in the 2 or 3 times that you guys met, and one of those times it was you're talking to her sons and you're saying like racial things like that, racial
I
slurs.
didn't say racial slurs.
She said that you did.
She said that I
Okay.
did.
So it sounds like she has a reason that she wants to talk to you, and she's banging on your door.
Mhm.
Okay.
But she's enraged, she's screaming, she's not acting to me what would be like a normal, average, everyday, reasonable person. I mean, to me, that was someone who was really angry.
You're for certain that when you went to retrieve your gun, that's where you keep it in that trash can, that's where it was at? I'm sorry, did you remember
No,
what you were
I-
thinking about? I didn't ask you this before, but I saw inside you have like, it's almost a home office set up.
Mhm.
Do you work from home?
Yes.
You do? So you're all pretty much, you're always there and you're always
Yes.
having to be
Mhm.
susceptible to whatever
Exactly.
they do.
Well, I kind of want to go through my notes real quick, make sure that we covered everything. We covered a lot of things. Can I get you another water or anything while I go through this? Okay. Yeah, let me go through the notes and make sure we didn't miss anything here. And we'll be right back in.
Is there anything else that you need right now? Use the restroom or anything?
Yeah.
Use the restroom? Okay, give me just one second. Make
It's
sure the
walking down the hall so
restroom's
you don't
clear.
get lost. Okie dokie.
We go to the bathroom?
Yes.
All right, so while we were in there going over everything, and my supervisor came in, he's actually kind of been listening a little. And something that caught my ear, like when we were talking earlier, you had mentioned the words, and I asked you to repeat it because I wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. You had mentioned terminology. That you looked that up?
Could have been, I don't know.
Okay.
I look up, I
And-
just,
and the
when I
reason
read
I ask is
articles,
I'm
I
trying
just
to-
go and see why the laws were, so I wanna know why, like, if they have an article, what happened in the situation, what,
Well, Susan, I think you know the reason why I'm asking that question. You're smart, okay? And the reason is,
Oh, hell no, absolutely, I know what you're thinking, did I look up the laws so I could do something? No, absolutely
this is not a
no.
situation where you set
No,
something up to,
no,
because you were
no.
tired of this person, you were
No,
tired of the situation that they put you
Absolutely
in.
no,
Okay.
sorry, no.
Okay, so while I was out there going through the notes and everything, I went through, so when someone calls 911, as soon as that call goes to our communication center, it logs it, gives us a timestamp. Hour, minute, second, from the very first time that call was received to the time that it's disconnected, okay? And that's for every single time someone calls. So the first time when you called 911, talking about the boys out there trespassing and things of that. So that call started at 8:54 p.m. Does that sound about right?
Yes, I really wasn't looking at the clock
Okay.
right here, I just remember calling.
That's what time it says on our call center. And that call lasted for 5 minutes and it disconnected.
Okay,
At 8:59, deputies are on the way,
okay,
okay? Now you estimated that it was approximately 10 minutes after you disconnected until the AJ started pounding on your door, is that correct? Is that
Yes.
what, okay. So the second 911 call where you called, lady was banging on my door, I shot her through the door. That call came into our call center, it was received at 9:01, which is 2 minutes after you hung up with the communication center the first time. So that's
Okay.
2 minutes that all these things that you say occurred happened at your front door. From
Okay.
pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding, I'm gonna kill you, all these things. Within 2 minutes, she showed up at your front door and did all these things to the time that you pulled the trigger, went and found your phone, and then called 911. So, and that's why I'm trying to get,
to me, it seemed like that amount of time, that's
there.
when I
But
saw
one-
them doing CPR.
Yeah, so when I informed you that, you showed emotion, you showed what appeared to me to be at least somewhat of a remorse for what had happened. So do you feel bad for what had happened? Do
Absolutely,
you feel bad for the children?
Christ, yes.
So, and I think, Detective Pender we're trying to give you the opportunity to try to explain some of these discrepancies in the story, the things that don't really add up or make sense. And you maintaining that you were in fear for your life.
Yes.
It just doesn't make sense. And I feel like at this point, today you really haven't, and I'm not judging you, everybody processes things differently, so I understand that. But you haven't really seemed remorseful for today, at least, for what had happened.
Oh, God. It just makes me sick. I don't know what, I can't take it back. It's transpired, it's in the past, I don't know what the hell to do. It's just probably be shutting down again.
Or whatever it was she was saying, and then shot fired, and she's down, and then another 911 call comes in. So, I mean, at this point, we've discussed it with the state, and they are on the same terms as far as charging you with manslaughter, okay?
Okay. I don't know what to say. I was in fear for my life. I mean, honest to God, I just feared that she was gonna come through that door. I'm sorry, that's how I felt. And I can't change the way I felt. I mean, it was sheer terror on my part. I mean, honest to God, I was shaking.
So, one of the things I want to ask, because at the point where I did let you know and I informed you, what had ultimately happened to AJ after that shooting, that she had passed away, and obviously she has 4 kids, and I was observing the interviews that were conducted with them and the emotions that they were going through. And you shared some of those same emotions at points through the conversations that we had. And I just want to, obviously I can't let you talk to them or give a message to them and face to face. But I would it's up to you, if you would like to write them a letter or something to kind of, whatever's on your mind or in your heart.
You don't have to. We're just going to leave a notepad and a pen in the room. Obviously, we have some paperwork to do, so we're going to have to step out to do that, and obviously talk to our boss. We'll just I offer it to everybody that we can't let them talk to. So it's just something we do.
Understood.
So if you'd like to do that.
We're going to get that paperwork going, like he said.
But that's where the state's at right now, that's where we're at, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in just a minute, okay? But if you'd like to write them something, that's right there, okay?
Alright, we're going to head over there in a second. Can you go ahead and stand up? I need to get a picture of you before we walk you over. Stand up for me real fast. Alright, can you take a step back? This is not a good camera for... Alright, hang on one second. Let me go take the stick. We're going to head on over there, okay?
Alright, Susan? Alright, we're gonna have you go with this deputy here.
No,
I'm sorry?
no,
No what?
I can't.
What's wrong? What's going on?
I just can't. I'm sorry, I can't do this.
Yes, sir?
interview that we just watched, you mentioning looking at some video. None of the video you looked at had any footage of the shooting or what happened right before the shooting, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Also in the video towards the end, the interview, towards the end, we saw you give the defendant an opportunity to write something down on paper.
Yes, sir.
Did she do that?
Yes, she did.
Do you remember what she wrote?
No, I wouldn't want to quote without a copy of it. I'm not sure.
I'll show you a copy of the letter. You want the jury to know what she wrote?
I am so sorry for your loss. I never meant to kill your mother. I was terrified your mom was going to kill me. I shot out of fear.
I want to direct your attention to June 19th of 2023. Did you respond back to the defendant's residence?
Yes, I did.
Why'd you go there?
To collect the front door for evidence.
And had you obtained a search warrant signed by a judge that gave you permission to go and take that door?
Yes, I did.
Did you contact the landlord, Charles Gabbard, to let him know what you were going to do?
Yes, sir.
And prior to arriving there, prior to getting to her residence, did you stop anywhere and pick anything up?
Yes, prior to responding, I spoke with Mr. Gabbard, got the specifications of that front door that was currently there, and went to the hardware store, purchased the hardware and a new door to replace the one we were taking.
So explain to the jury what happened when you arrived.
When I arrived, we removed, me and my Sergeant Bartlett, removed the front door. That appeared, it was the same door, and placed the new door we had purchased back on the hinges.
When you arrived, when you went back to the residence to take the door, were you still able to see the location of the original bullet hole that you saw on June 2nd?
Yes, sir.
Had it been repaired in any way?
Yes, sir.
How? Could you tell just by what it looked like?
It had been spackled over the front, outside of the door.
But the impression was still visible?
Yes, sir.
And was it in the same location as when you saw it on June
Yes,
2nd?
yes, sir.
Except for that repair of the gunshot, the bullet hole, was the door in the same or substantially the same condition as when you saw it June 2nd?
It appeared to have been sanded, but otherwise in the same condition, yes.
Your Honor, it might be easier, may I ask the witness step down to come and look at the piece of evidence before I move it?
Sure.
Would you mind stepping down?
Has the defense had a chance to see it?
I have, Judge.
Okay.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit W for identification. Can you take a look at that first and tell me if you recognize it? Do you see your initials on the evidence tape and everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you please kind of cut away the packaging and look inside of it and tell me if you recognize it?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
It's the door that I removed from the hinges at the defendant's residence.
Is it the same, substantially the same condition as when you removed it on, I believe, June 19th, 2023?
Yes, sir.
This time, the state would move States W into evidence as States 21.
May we approach, Your Honor?
Sure. Yes, sir. Overrule the objection, it be in evidence as states number 21.
see the repair done of the bullet hole?
Yes.
If I could have one more, Your Honor?
Sure.
Thank you, Detective. No other questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We moved it. Do you need this out here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem.
Hey, do you have the scissors? Because I'm just gonna take it off so it won't be so loud.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
The exterior door frame of Miss
Hold
Lorincz.
on. Let her finish that. Go ahead, sir.
Actually, let's deal with the door first.
Okay.
So we can. Are there parts of this door that seem like they've been painted over in some capacity?
Yes, sir.
I'm the Busher.
Yes, sir.
Detective, I'd like to show you what's marked as Defense Exhibit C. Is this a copy of the letter that Miss Lorincz wrote to the children of Miss Owens?
Yes, sir.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the letter that she wrote?
Yes, it is.
The exterior door frame of Miss Lorinc's door to her residence did have damage, is that right, when you went to see it?
Yes, sir.
The damage did not appear recent, right?
Correct.
The damage appears to have been repaired with some putty where the wood separated, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you entered Miss Lorinc's kitchen area, when you went to the scene, you observed a single spent shell casing on her kitchen counter, right next to the stove, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you also conducted research for prior calls for services between Miss Owens and Miss Lorincz, is that right?
Correct.
And you found prior calls for service dating back over a year placed by Miss Lorincz, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, you reviewed the transcripts from the two interviews that you conducted with Miss Lorincz on June 3rd of 2023 and June 6th of 2023, right?
Yes, I did.
And you reviewed it for accuracy purposes to make sure that they were consistent with what Miss Lorincz told you on those two different dates, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, both interviews are pretty long, right?
Yes, they are.
So you obviously didn't memorize everything that you said in all of them, correct?
That's correct.
I'm going to ask you several questions about the two conversations that you had with Miss Lorincz. There may be some things that you don't remember, correct?
That's correct.
So would having a copy of those transcripts help you refresh your recollection? Should there be a question that I ask that you don't remember?
Yes, that would be helpful.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, sir.
Would you June 3rd transcript, and this is the June 6th transcript, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yes, sir.
Just leave them there unless you need them, okay? Just
Okay.
leave them there until you need
Yes,
them. Thank you.
And what I'm gonna do, just to make this quicker, when I ask the question, I'm gonna refer like what area in the transcript it's at, in case you need to refresh your recollection, okay?
Yes, sir.
We'll start off with June 3rd. Now, on June 3rd, another detective was with you. His name is Detective Kip Peterson, right?
Correct.
And he was with you throughout the interview with Ms. Lawrence?
On and off. He,
On and
he
off,
left the
okay.
room a couple times, yes, sir.
And Ms. Lawrence told you that her birthday was July 23rd of 1964, is that right?
From what I recall, that's correct.
Okay. And at that point, that would make her 58, almost 59 years old, right?
I'm not great at math, but that sounds about right.
Does that sound about right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, sir. That's reasonable. That's reasonable. I wouldn't be able to remember that on the spot too, so I hear you. And obviously, Ms. Lawrence told you that she had had problems with the deceased, Ms. Owens, in the past, right?
That's correct.
And she told you that Ms. Owens had actually thrown a no trespassing sign at her, correct?
That's correct.
And she told you that she had some medical problems, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Including that her neck was fused, right?
Yes, sir.
And she told you, Ms. Lawrence told you that Ms. Owens came to her door and just started banging so hard that everything starts shaking, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Lawrence tells you that she tells Ms. Owens that she really needs to leave, and then Ms. Owens tells her that I'm going to fucking kill you as she continues to bang away, is that right?
And we're speaking about the night of the incident on the
Yes,
second.
yes, sir.
She,
Denver-
yes, sir, she did tell me that.
Okay. And Ms. Lawrence told you that Ms. Owens banged so hard it looked like her door was gonna fly off, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Lawrence told you that she really thought Ms. Owens was gonna kill her, correct?
Yes, sir, she did.
Ms. Lawrence told you that she really feared for her life, is that right?
She did tell me that,
And
yes.
she told you about her health condition that she had regarding an aneurysm on her left kidney artery where she's supposed to stay calm because of it, is that right?
She did, yes.
She told you all this was going on, while all this was going on, in regard to Miss Owens banging on her door and pounding her door, that she was shaking, right?
Yes, sir.
She told you that Miss Owens was trying to come inside, correct?
She said that she believed that Miss Owens was trying to come inside the house.
And Susan told you that Miss Owens was trying to push in the door, is that right?
So I don't remember her saying that. I just remember her using the terminology as banging on the door.
Okay, if you'd like to refresh your recollection, that is on the June 3rd transcript on page 13, lines 6 through 7. Page 13, June 3rd transcript. And that's lines 6 through 7. And just review that, and then I'll ask the question.
Yes, sir.
Susan, Miss Lawrence told you that Miss Owens was trying to push in the door, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And at that point, she's telling Miss Owens to leave, right?
Yes, sir.
And then she says, Miss Owens keeps telling her, I'm going to fucking kill you, I'm going to fucking kill you, is that right?
Yes, sir, that's what she told me.
Miss Lawrence also told you, as all this was going on, that she was scared and terrified, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Miss Lawrence told you that Miss Owens was screaming for all she was worth, right?
Yes, sir.
And Miss Lawrence told you she was asking Miss Owens to stop, but she didn't, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you informed her that Miss Owens had passed away, that is when she started weeping and crying. Is that right?
That's correct.
And Miss Lawrence told you that all of this occurred because Miss Owens was pounding on her door and she thought she was going to come in, correct?
Yes, sir.
Miss Lawrence told you that Miss was third deposition,
Yes, sir.
line 23, sir. And take your time, please. Page 30, line 23.
Okay.
She told you that Miss Owens was violent, right?
Yes, sir.
And she told you that she was fearful for her life, right?
She did say that, yes.
Miss Lawrence told you that the door was broken, the whole side panel, even before this incident occurred, correct?
She did.
And she told you that as Miss Owens was pounding on the doors, she was pounding it so hard that everything was just rattling, and it sounded like a horse kick. It was so loud, right?
She did say it was rattling, yes, sir.
And she told you it sounded like a horse kick, right?
I don't recall that. Pardon me.
Page 32 of that same transcript, lines 19 through 21, if you'd like to refresh your recollection.
You said page 32, I'm sorry?
Yes, sir, page 32, lines 19 through 21.
Yes, all right.
She told you that she felt like she was in mortal danger, correct?
She did, yes, sir.
She told you that she usually has a chair propped up against the door, but she didn't have it that night or have the chain on her door either, right?
Correct.
She told you that as Miss Owens is pounding on that door, that she could actually physically see her door moving. Is that right?
She did say that, yes.
She told you that she absolutely feared for her life and that it was either me or her, right?
She did tell me that, yes.
She told you that it was dark outside. Her lights were off and Miss Owens is pounding on the door, correct?
Yes, sir.
She told you that she felt like she was in imminent danger. Is that right?
Yes, she did.
She told you that Miss Owens had pounded on the door once before in the past and had actually damaged the door. Is that right?
I don't recall her saying that she was the one that damaged it.
Page 42 of that first
Yes, sir.
page 42 of that first transcript, lines 2 through 4.
Okay.
Yes, sir? She told you that Miss Owens in the past had pounded on the door and had damaged the door, right?
Yes, sir.
She told you that she thought Miss Owens was coming through the door because everything was shaking, and even the mirror that was on the wall was shaking as well, correct?
Correct.
Now, you told her that it was not safe for her to go back to her house after this incident, right?
I said that I did not believe that it was safe for her to go back to her house, yes.
Okay. I'd like to speak to you a little bit about the June 6, 2023 interaction that you had with Ms. Lawrence. The transcript is right there if you need to refresh your recollection. If you do, just let me know what page and what line, and we'll work it out, okay?
Yes, sir.
On that day, June 6th of 2023, she again, Ms. Lawrence, told you that day, Ms. Owens told her on the night of the incident that she was going to kill her, right?
Yes, sir.
She told you again on that day, June 6th of 2023, that she thought Ms. Owens was going to break down the door, correct?
Correct.
She told you on that day, June 6th of 2023, that her heart was pounding and that she thought
Yes, sir.
she told you that, after she told Miss Owens to stop, go away, and she wouldn't move away, that's when she shot, right?
Yes, sir.
She told you on that day that she was terrified that Miss Owens was going to come in her home and kill her, right?
She did say that, yes.
She explained to both of you that what she remembered was Miss Owens was pounding and screaming and yelling, right?
Correct.
She also told you that the door was repaired and re-repaired, so she never felt that the door was secure, correct?
She did say that, yes.
She told you in this second statement that she had a fusion in her neck and a laminectomy in her lower back, and she had this knee that goes backwards, right?
Yes, she did.
And she also had a torn rotator cuff, right?
I believe I remember that from the second interview, yes.
Yes, sir. And she told you, and I quote, "I did what I thought I had to. I honest to God thought she was going to kill me. I mean, that's all I thought. I just felt that terror. I mean, it was sheer terror," correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, based on your review of Susan's phone, it does not appear she deleted any data. Is that right?
That's correct.
If I may have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
To that residence, right?
That's correct.
Was that because she had just shot a member of that community and the community was upset about it?
That's correct.
During your interviews with her, did the defendant tell you that the door, the metal door we see here in the courtroom, was closed when she fired?
Yes, sir.
Did she tell you the lock on the door was engaged when she fired?
Yes, she did.
Did she tell you the deadbolt as well was engaged when she fired?
Yes, sir.
When you were there on scene, did you see any evidence of fresh damage to the door jamb?
No, I did not.
You mentioned earlier when Mr. Franz was asking you some questions that you saw some putty there.
That's correct.
Did you also see new strike plates put in
They appeared to be newer than the door.
for both the lock of the door and the deadbolt?
Yes, sir.
Were those strike plates, did they have screws screwed into the frame?
Yes, sir.
Did you see any splinters, wood fragments, anything to suggest there was damage caused by this incident on the floor?
No, I did not.
Did you see any wood splinters, shards, shavings, anything to indicate there was fresh damage from this incident from the door jamb?
No, I did not.
Thank you, Detective. No
May
questions.
we approach?
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor. Stith about that, but before I did that, I wanted to discuss it with Your Honor to make sure Your Honor has permission to go forward. So that is our request, and we believe the door has been opened on that issue.
Is there any indication that any of the people who were witnesses here in the trial did any of the damage?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So what relevance would it have that after the whole thing's over, some person or persons may have damaged the door?
Well, Your Honor, the relevance is that, the community was upset with, Ms. Lorincz after the fact, and before the fact too, which is clear from the evidence that's been presented. And it would go to one of the reasons why Ms. Lorincz was upset and why she did what she did and why she felt that she had to shoot through that door. So it goes to her state of mind as well. And it's evidence of why she had fear before this incident occurred, because of the issues in the community with her.
And Judge,
Well, oh, sure, go ahead.
if I could just put on the record, so when Mr. Buxman asked Detective Stiff why the reason he believed it wasn't safe for her to go back to her home, I think that then opens the door for the defense to be also able to question him about, well, also, as a matter of fact, Ms. Lawrence's home was burglarized very shortly after this incident, where there was writing on the door, her windows were damaged. I think that explains a little bit of the reason why somebody painted over the door, which has already been come out into evidence. But I think by Mr. Buxman specifically asking this witness that question as to his opinion, you can't just give part of the answer to say, well, it's because there was a shooting of somebody in the community's upset, and leave out the second part, and also this community burglarized her home. So I think by asking that question, Mr. Buxman opened the door that we should be now allowed to bring in this additional reason.
What's the state's position?
Your Honor, my question was in response to Mr. Carranza's question on cross-examination about the interview with him specifically telling her on June 3rd that it was not, he didn't think it was safe for her to go back. My question followed up and focused solely on that statement on June 3rd as far as why he said that to her. That in no way opens the door to something that happened days or potentially weeks after he made that statement to her at the interview. One has nothing to do with the other. So the door is not even close to being opened. And secondarily, what some unknown person may have done after the fact to this door has no relevance whatsoever as to why he made that statement on June 3rd.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
Judge, just that the state's own evidence, they played the interview where the detective specifically said to Susan Lorincz, I don't feel like it's safe. So we didn't open any door on cross. They already elicited that testimony during the direct in their interview. I just want to put that on the record.
Okay. Well, it's a fair enough point. It was brought out. It was in the interview, which we've all had lots of litigation over this interview, and no one has really mentioned that as being problematic in any way. Mr. Carranza then questioned him about it. In addition to the fact that it was played, he also brought it out again, and the state asked a single question regarding that. So, yes, it was played in the state's evidence, but it was then highlighted by the defense. But more importantly, I'm not sure what anyone is referring to when they say the community, because as far as I know, there's no evidence of who damaged the door or wrote anything afterwards. So to attribute that to any particular group of people is without evidence, right? We're just saying, the most any of us can say is that somebody after the fact damaged the door. That's the most any of us can say. However, I don't find that to be relevant to any of the particular issues in this case, particularly the issue of self-defense, because it happened after the fact. So it could not have been on her mind at the time of the offense. There's no evidence of who did what, so I don't find it to be relevant. I note your objection. Is there any additional questions you'd like to ask this person before he's released?
Judge, can we just do a proffer real quick while the jury's out?
Sure.
Do you want to just proffer? Sure.
Detective, after the fact, after this incident, were you either through your investigation or other people, other individuals that work for the Marion County Sheriff's Office, did you come to find out that there was damage caused to Ms. Lawrence's door and her property, or the property that she rented?
Yes, sir.
And what damage was caused?
I couldn't really speak to that. I was working this investigation that we're discussing today. I was told through other detectives who responded out to the scene to conduct further interviews and canvass the neighborhood, that while they were there, they were alerted to some damage that had been done to the defendant's property. I didn't respond that day. I didn't see the damage myself. I was just told.
What were you told in regard to the damage?
There may have been some broken windows and some things spray painted on the front door.
Do you know if the house itself was burglarized? In other words, did anyone go in and either take property, destroy property inside, anything like that?
I don't know.
Any other information that you received besides the writings on the wall and some broken windows?
No, sir.
No further questions.
I just wanna put a couple questions in the record, Judge, and then I'm.
Sure.
I'm done. So this damage that was done to the door at Susan Lawrence's house, that was done before you actually went out and collected the door?
Yes.
And is that the reason why the door was painted over, was because of that language or that damage?
I don't know why it was repainted.
Okay, that was done before you collected it?
Yes.
In addition to the reasons I gave originally, I would point out that this witness has no personal knowledge of what he's testified about. It's all hearsay because he said he didn't witness anything. Everything he testified to, he was told by somebody else, which would also make a hearsay. So, again, overrule the objection. Anyone have any other questions for this particular witness?
Not from the state.
Is he excused?
Yes, sir.
All right. You're excused, sir. Thank you.
Transcripts.
You have another witness, right?
Yes, sir.
The jury's already out on break. I was gonna give us a break anyway, so we'll take about 10 minutes or so. 10, 15, we'll give you 15 minutes, everybody. All right, thank you. Fly back.
I'll check.
Sorry. It's all right.
You were trying so hard. Everyone's like looking at you like, hurry up.
See, that's what I'm talking about, defendant.
Yeah, and that's, that I'm fully aware of. Which is really fun to do.
Yeah.
I've done it, it was a blast.
I know. Like, all right, you really want to go down that road? I'm gonna see if I can. session.
See everybody. We'll go back on the record. Mark State versus Susan Lorincz. Are we ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I see Ms. Lawrence is out here. We ready for the jurors, correct?
Yes, sir.
Let's bring them back.
Office.
How long have you been with the Marion County Sheriff's Office?
With the sheriff's office, a little over 8 years.
And how long have you been in this current position?
In this position, a little over 7.
Can you describe for the jury your training and your background that allows you to do this type of job?
So in short, I have a Master's of Science from the University of South Florida, specializing in digital forensics, specifically in cybersecurity, as well as a graduate certificate in digital forensics from the University of South Florida. Collectively, I have about 1,200 hours worth of specialized training in the fields of digital forensics and cybersecurity, and approximately 20 different certifications in those fields.
Have you, in the course of your job at the sheriff's office, had the opportunity to extract data from a cell phone?
I have.
Can you estimate about how many times you've done that?
Last check, it was a little over 1,500.
And have you been, what type of programs do you generally use when extracting data?
Generally, we use 2 programs, either Cellbrite or a system called GridKey.
Have you been trained in how to use those programs?
I have. Of those certifications, some of them are for those 2.
Can you describe just some of the training that you've gone to, how long it was, that kind of thing?
Sure. So I hold 3 certifications through Cellbrite itself. Ultimately, they're capstone certifications, a Cellbrite Certified Mobile Examiner. That requires both a knowledge-based skill test and actual practical hands-on exercises to actually be able to pass that, plus verified work experience, things of that nature. So I hold that through Cellbrite, as well as GridKey Certified Operator through Magnet now, and a company called GridKey.
1 second. You slow down.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Have you been permitted to give opinion testimony in the field of digital forensics before in court?
I have.
Can you estimate about how many times?
I believe it's twice.
Your Honor, I ask the witness be permitted to provide opinion testimony in the area of digital forensics in this case.
Yes, ma'am. So if I understand it, he does an extraction. The extraction generates this printout. This looks like some sort of printout from, it says extraction report, Cellbrite extraction report. And now he's simply going to read the timestamps that are listed. Is that see.
I think we've resolved the issue. I'm not
Okay.
gonna ask Jesse Newbanks any opinion questions. The only potential concern I had was about the timestamps. It's really not opinion testimony. The issue's taken care of, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, thank you. No, so I guess I had to go back. Are you gonna object to him being qualified as an expert? Or you're not, simply
I'm
not
not
gonna
gonna
ask?
seek to qualify him as an expert, Your Honor.
Okay, no problem. We'll bring the jurors back in.
And the question was about the report being provided. There was a report provided, I believe, August 8th in an email to the defense. The reports I'm referring to and seeking to introduce.
That's correct, Judge.
I'm sorry, what now? What'd you say? Okay.
I'm going to direct your attention to June 6th of 2023. Were you contacted by lead detective Ryan Stith in this case to extract certain data off of a phone belonging to Susan Lorincz?
I was.
And how did you come to be in possession of the phone?
The device was currently secured in the Digital Evidence Lab's secured storage facility where I obtained it to execute a search warrant.
Showing most of introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit 18. Can you take a look at that and tell me if you recognize that?
This would be the one.
Sorry?
That's correct.
Is that the phone that you examined?
It is.
And you said you examined that pursuant to a search warrant, right?
That is correct.
Did that search warrant allow you to look into the phone and extract certain specific data from the phone?
It did.
Can you explain to the jury the process you went through in extracting the data off of that phone?
So very broadly speaking, we take the cellular device and we connect to your cellular device. It's done by the application, not necessarily by the user. But it's done so that every time you go back into that application, things that were there before are already there and you don't have to wait for it to reload. Think about it if you're looking at Instagram or Facebook, anything you had looked at previously is already there. Next time you go back into it, it just loads the new stuff. It caches all that data to the phone, and we're able to see that data when we do our forensic extractions.
Slow down a little bit.
Apologize.
When you examined the blink camera data from the phone, did you locate any camera footage from the nighttime?
No, we did not.
Can you explain why there would not be footage from the nighttime in this situation?
So what we did find in some of these videos is that the cameras themselves were either mounted or placed behind a glass window. At night, these cameras operate off of infrared. So the light turns on, but because the camera's behind a piece of glass, it's actually reflecting the infrared back at the camera itself, so the camera's effectively blind. We did locate a number of videos indicating that was it, and we didn't find any videos from the nighttime itself.
So did you find any blink videos showing either the shooting or what happened just before because of that very problem?
None that I saw, no.
Did you locate some photos on, or some videos on the cell phone that were taken directly from the cell phone itself?
We did.
Did you also locate evidence on Miss Lorinc's phone that she had called 911 on 2 separate occasions on June 2nd, 2023?
We did.
As far as the 911 calls, how does a phone store that information?
So generally speaking, phones will store that information in the database itself. Specifically, the database we looked at for this is the call history, specifically the call logs.
Does the phone itself record the exact time that the call is made?
It does.
Does it record the duration of the call?
It does.
And how does it do that?
So generally speaking, it's from the timestamp of the phone itself when the call is made, and then the duration until it is hung up and terminated.
And how do we know that timestamp is accurate?
It's based off of the phone itself, connecting to the cellular provider.
Could the phone have the wrong time on it or something?
It's possible, but generally speaking, with the phones, they actually obtain accurate time from the cellular provider based off of where you're at in the world, so they're generally accurate.
Was a report generated showing these 2 911 calls that occurred on June 2nd of 2023, the dates, the times, and the duration of those calls based on the information you extracted from the defendant's cell phone?
There was a report made, yes.
Was a report generated also showing certain videos captured from her actual cell phone that appeared during your extraction process?
There was.
And did that report show videos taken from her cell phone from about 7:21 and 14 seconds p.m. until about 8:53, 32 seconds p.m. on June 2nd of 2023?
The phone. One within the DCIM folder, stands for Digital Camera Image. It's a general rule of thumb, if you will, when it comes to actually taking photos. The other one we find within a cache folder of the actual file system for the Apple operating system itself. It's the exact same video, just located in 2 separate places on the phone, so we report in both.
And why do you report them both?
Just so that we can talk about both of them existing.
Okay, and you mentioned the word cache again. What is that?
That's done by the phone and the operating system itself, not necessarily by the user.
This time you're on a State would move State's Exhibit X into evidence as 22.
Objection, hearsay, relevance.
Over the objection, given evidence of state's number 22.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I can have access to the TV room.
You ready to go?
Yes, sir. All right, I'm showing you the first page of that report that we just looked at. Can you just explain to the jury what we're looking at so they'll understand?
Sure. So as you can see at the first line, it's labeled as number 1, and then subsequently after that, you have 1 with a 1 in parentheses, and then a 1 with a 2 in parentheses. That go back to what I was just talking about the duplicate videos. So it shows one video, it's the exact same video based off of that hash value. Essentially what that is a algorithmic, talk of it as a fingerprint for those specific files. It shows that they're the exact same thing. Underneath that, it shows us the name and location, as well as any metadata associated with the videos as we found them. So that
What's
is for,
metadata? Before you go on, what is metadata?
metadata is generally data about data. Think of it as a subset of information about the specific file we're talking about. So in this case, it's the created, modified, and access times, as well as the path and the name for those videos.
Overrule the objection.
These terms are probably self-explanatory, but what does created mean?
Generally, it's when that video was created on the storage media, in this case, the phone.
What about modified?
When it was last changed or edited.
And what about accessed?
Generally speaking, when it was last viewed or seen.
I want to go through those 11 videos that you extracted from the phone.
Okay.
Did you locate a video on June 2nd, 2023 at 7:21:14 p.m.?
We did. That's the first video.
And are many of these videos very, very short?
That is correct.
Okay. So this first video, according to the report you have, occurred at 7:21:14 p.m.
That is correct.
Based on your extracted data from the phone, what time was the first 911 call made on her phone on that day?
Going to that page of the report, the first 911 call was at approximately 8:54:09 p.m. on
How do
16.
you know that these videos were taken directly from her cell phone?
So, again, going back to the specific file path we were talking about, they actually show that they were from the actual phone itself, and there is metadata within the report to show that it was from a specific make and model of the phone to which it lives.
Showing you a photo that you found from at 7:30:12 p.m. Was there a photo at 7:30:36 p.m. as well?
There is videos.
Is there a photo or a video at 7:58:59 p.m.?
There is.
seconds PM.
We did.
Did you locate a video at 8:33 and 59 seconds PM?
We did.
What about a photo at 8:34 and 57 seconds PM, a video, excuse me?
We did.
How about a video at 8:49 and 49 seconds PM?
We did.
Was that video only like a second long?
I believe so.
Was there another video 2 seconds later at 8:49 and 51 seconds?
That is correct.
Now, if this video was at 8:59 and 51 seconds, is that about 5 minutes before the first 911 call was made?
That is correct.
Did you locate a video at 8:50 and 37 seconds PM?
We did.
And finally, did you locate a video at 8:53 and 32 seconds PM?
We did.
Is that last video about 30 seconds before the first 911 call was made?
It appears so, yes, sir.
You mentioned that you also extracted the data regarding the 2 911 calls made by the defendant's phone on the evening of June 2nd, 2023, right?
That is correct.
What do we see on this page of the report?
This is specifically those 2 911 calls, their timestamps and durations.
And does it also, does the report, the extraction data from her phone show the time that the first 911 call was made?
It does.
And what time was it again?
That was timestamped at 8:54:09 p.m. So, yeah, UTC, and it lasted approximately 4 minutes and 55 seconds.
Okay. We see that under the number 1 column.
Correct.
So if that first call was made at 8:54:09 and lasted 4 minutes and 55 seconds, about when would that phone have disconnected?
Approximately 5 minutes after, so roughly 8:59 p.m.
According to your extraction results, when was the second 911 call made?
That was made at 9:01 and 37 seconds p.m.
So about how long between when the first 911 call was hung up and the second call?
Cross-examination? Is he excused?
He is, Your Honor.
Sir, are you excused? Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Buxman?
Have witness back.
Thank you. State restaurant.
Ladies and gentlemen, the state of Florida has rested its case. However, the trial is not over. I'm going to have you go back to the jury room, and we'll go over a few things here, and then we'll see who the next witness is going to be.
Including, I guess, through the officer from Ms. Owens herself. The confrontation on June 2nd was started by Ms. Owens approaching Ms. Lawrence's residence. There's also evidence of Ms. Lawrence's attempts at disengaging, both in the past and on June 2nd, by telling her, "Get off my property," you're trespassing, and attempting to use other means to get this confrontation stopped. It's also supported by the evidence afterwards that she surrendered to Deputy Stringer and to Trainee Barboza, that she called 911, and that she gave full statements to law enforcement and follow-ups at the detective's requests. And I present to the court some case law on the matter. Jenkins v. State, 942 Southern 2nd, 910. It's a Florida 2nd DCA case from 2006. The facts in that case are a little bit different, other than the banging on the door. It's also a case where the victim was banging on the door. In that case, the defendant actually had two residences, two mobile homes that were next to each other, and the victim was banging on the door to the residence that the defendant did not live in but was owned by him. And in that case, the court denied the motion for judgment of acquittal, and
Well, in that case, it looks like wasn't there like some sort of punch thrown?
yes,
Like the victim actually punched the defendant first?
yes, that's correct. The facts
Okay.
are somewhat different from this case, and he was not inside the residence at the time, and they do go through that. The reason that I cited that case is it also has a nice recap of a lot of the Florida cases regarding self-defense, starting on page 6. It talks about 7 Florida cases that have reversed convictions based on the state's failure to rebut a prima facie case of self
Okay.
Additionally, I provided to the court SR v. State 11 Southern 3rd 442. It's a third DCA case from 2009. This is not a, this is a self-defense case, but it is not a deadly force case. This is a juvenile case where the evidence in that case was that the juvenile defendant, who I believe was a female, was in a circumstance where she was in a hallway and her stepfather, who had prior acts of violence, was blocking her exit, and she kind of pushed past him on her way to the door, and the court found her guilty of a battery, and the appellate court reversed and said that self-defense does not focus on whether an act was purposeful, it's whether or not an act was done to defend oneself against the imminent use of force. And in that case, similar to this case, there was testimony of prior acts of violence, and there was testimony that she was aware of those, prior acts of violence. And so the court found that the denial for judgment of acquittal was unreasonable, and they reversed. And then the last case that I cited is McGriff v. State. This is an older case. It's 341 Southern 2nd, 1036. It's a fourth DCA case from 1977. The reason that I wanted to bring that case to the court's attention is that in that case, they talk about the circumstance where the behavior of the defendant after the shooting happened, in this case, also tends to support the claim of self-defense, which is like the case here. In that case, I guess the victim was intoxicated. The defendant initially pulled out a gun and fired a warning shot, and the victim continued to approach, and there ended up being a scuffle, and the gun discharged, and subsequent to that, the defendant ordered that someone take him to the hospital, and then the defendant turned himself in, and he gave a full statement to law enforcement. So for those reasons, I would ask that the court grant the defense motion for judgment of acquittal.
What's the state's position?
In the instant case, the state has established a prima facie case to go to the jury, establish the elements of manslaughter. We've established that the crime happened in Marion County, that the victim, Ms. Owens, by stipulation, was in fact the victim in this case. She's deceased. We've established that she is deceased because the defendant, by her own admissions, fired the gun through the door. The projectile struck the victim, and the victim died as a result of that. That her own testimony shows an intentional act was committed by pulling the trigger. There's no indication it was accidental or something to that effect. Additionally, based on the facts and circumstances of this case, we've established that the decision to fire that firearm would constitute culpable negligence. As far as the self-defense aspect goes, Your Honor, the defense has provided, I believe, 3 cases, all of which are very factually distinguishable from the instant case. Here, the instant case, we have the defendant behind a closed, locked, deadbolted door, and we have verbal statements by the victim and some pounding. Clearly, a reasonable jury could find that there is no imminent threat towards the defendant at the time that she chose to shoot the gun, and as well as there is no imminent ability or attempt for the victim to engage in a forcible felony. Even if this court assumes she was trespassing, it's not a forcible felony that would justify the use of deadly force. I ask the JOA be denied.
All right, well, I've listened to the evidence quite carefully and taken notes, especially on issues I thought would be relevant to the defense and to what I understood would eventually be a motion for judgment of acquittal. I do find that the evidence, when viewed in the light most favorable to the state, which is the proper standard at this point in the trial, that the state was able to present competent, substantial evidence that could overcome Ms. Lorinc's self-defense claim, and also produce competent, substantial evidence which would support a verdict for manslaughter. So I will deny the defense's motion for judgment of acquittal, and we will move on from there.
Yes, sir.
I know you have at least some witnesses or witness available today? Okay. All right.
Your Honor, before we go any further, the defense, before the last witness testified, may have said enough to trigger an allegation of a discovery violation. By report, I'm not sure if they're still pursuing that, considering that we did send them the report well before the witness testified. I'm concerned that if there is an allegation of discovery violation, an appellate court may look at that. There was no Richardson hearing conducted.
Judge, no, the defense, just so it's clear for the record, the defense did receive both reports from Mr. Buxman. The defense's only concern was the fact that they had not listed Jesse Eubanks as an expert witness, and then we're trying to tender him as an expert witness, just so that's clear for the record, and I think that issue was resolved.
So you're not suggesting there's a discovery violation?
No,
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're not requesting any sort of any sort of Richardson hearing?
no, sir.
I do find there was no discovery violation. The state provided the extraction reports, which is essentially what Mr. Eubanks testified to. Ultimately, he was not qualified as an expert for any sort of analysis. I think digital forensic technicians are maybe a little different than other types of experts anyways, because typically Mr. Eubanks would be simply reading from an extraction report in this sort of case, and then showing what was on the phone, which is a little different than most sort of experts. But ultimately, no one tried to qualify him as an expert. The defense has said there's no discovery violation. I find there's no discovery violation. Therefore, I find there's no reason to conduct a Richardson hearing, and we'll move on with the trial.
Thank you, Your Honor.
But you just have one person here, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's fine. I'll let the jury know they'll come early, and we'll go from there, okay? But I do want to go over some, after that, once the jury's excused, see if we can get as close as possible to getting the instructions done. Is that good for everybody? I think
Yes,
I have the last instruction. I would request, there is another instruction that can be read subsequent to jury verdicts regarding that jurors have a right to not talk to the press. I don't know the number of it. It's somewhere in the instructions. I do think that may be appropriate to read in this case.
Yes, sir.
Standard instruction?
It's in the standard instructions, I believe.
We'll find it.
No idea what number it is. I can probably look later on this evening, but it just informs jurors that it's their right to not comment on the case. Yeah, I think it informs them they have a right to comment on the case, but they have a right not to comment. And that may be appropriate in this case.
Yes, sir.
So it's read only after a verdict comes, regardless of what the verdict is. So it's not read to them prior to making a verdict, okay?
Yes, sir.
If you can't find it, I'll find it. I've seen it before. But I don't have all the numbers memorized, that's my guess. All right, so let me go down. And any changes that we make to jury instructions, just send me the instructions that are final. I don't need all the other ones again. Like whoever sent me the last packet sent me all the preliminaries and everything else.
That was me.
Huh?
That was me.
I wasn't blaming anybody. I threw it out there as a whoever, so you know, if you want to confess, it's fine with me, but it's just that I don't want to keep throwing away pieces of paper.
Yes, sir.
You know, pile of unnecessary paperwork. We'll bring the jurors back in, and then we'll excuse them after the witness. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, the state has rested their case. The defense has one witness they want to call. After that witness, we're going to take a recess for the day. You'll get to go home early. And then I'll see you same time, same place tomorrow, okay? Go ahead.
The next part, Rosalie Smith.
What's the first name?
Rosalie.
Rosalie?
Yes, sir.
If you could raise your right hand for me.
Sorry.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Have a seat, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon.
Hi,
Can you please introduce yourself for the jury?
Rosalie Smith
Ms. Smith, where do you currently live?
at 1724
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have you step out just for a little bit again. Sorry. All right, the jury is outside the courtroom. I'll have a proffer of her testimony.
Sure. I'll do the proper first and then.
Sure.
The neighborhood that you live in now, can you describe it for me?
It's, I don't know, it's less than mid, it's a little bit above the hood. How's that?
Have you described it as one step away or a step away from the hood?
Yes.
Okay. And Judge, there's been several witnesses so far that have testified to this. I think Ms. Costa may have said that as well, and I think one of the deputies, I think it was Deputy Stringer, had testified that the neighborhood was troublesome. It kind of goes to Ms. Lawrence's state of mind, so I think that this testimony is relevant.
What's the state's position on that?
You know, again, I would object with her characterizing the neighborhood as one step away from the hood. One, I don't believe that's relevant to the issue of self-defense between the issues of the victim and the defendant. Two, I believe any type of characterization like that is more prejudice than it is probative of anything. And I think I know also in her deposition she talks about, gunshots in the neighborhood and things like that. And I just think this is an improper characterization of the neighborhood. That's,
I
again,
don't have the
for
witness.
additional proof.
Is that the only question you're gonna ask in those regards?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll have the witness step outside the courtroom for just a little bit. Referring to some place as troubled, I mean, lots of places can be troubled. Referring to some place as a hood clearly has kind of a racial connotation to it. So I don't mind her saying, you know, it's lower economic, it's just a financial term, or that's been trouble, but referring to something as a hood, you know, I think has,
You said lower economic or what?
that comes from that versus bad because there's people of any race that may do something wrong.
So is the
You
court
know.
okay with her saying that it's sort of a lower income neighborhood?
Sure, I mean, I think that's pretty much already in evidence. Like I said, most of the quadruplexes I've seen in Marion County are just like this. They're mostly rentals, and, you know, people are living there for periods of time, but most of them aren't owned by, I guess they could be, but I don't think most of them are owned by the people who live there. But they, I mean, some could be, but even that, it's not, like I said, it's not like you're living in a mansion, so I think, you know, yeah, sure.
I don't know if Mr. Smith or whoever's seeing this wants to go with me when I'm speaking with her, because technically she's on the stand.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that's, you're interjecting something that doesn't need to be interjected in trial.
Gotta love the appellate lawyer.
Ready for her to return? Ready for her to come back?
Yes, sir.
Bring her back, then we'll bring the jurors. ready for the jurors? Let's bring them back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Ready to proceed? Thank you.
The neighborhood that you live in now, is that kind of like a lower income neighborhood?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how far away is your house from Susan Lawrence's house?
I describe it about a football field.
Almost a football field away?
Yes.
Have you ever met Susan Lawrence?
No, ma'am.
Did you know Attica Owens at all?
No.
Did you ever meet any of the people that were involved in this incident?
No, ma'am.
So I want to talk to you about June 2nd, 2023, okay?
Okay.
Where were you when the shooting happened?
I was sitting on an enclosed patio at my apartment.
Was that like a little patio behind like a wooden fence?
Yeah. Probably a 6-foot fence.
What did you hear?
I heard a lot of pounding, a lot of yelling, screaming, and then I heard a gunshot.
Did you hear a lot of pounding on a door like it was going to be pushed down?
Yes.
Did you call it like a cop knock?
That's what I call it.
Was it very loud?
Very loud.
Did you hear anyone screaming?
Yes, I heard a woman's voice screaming. To me, it sounded like she was screaming words, but I could not understand any of the words.
Was there a lot of pounding on the door?
Yeah,
And you said you couldn't make out what the person was screaming.
absolutely not.
Was it a female voice screaming?
Yes,
Was the female screaming at the top of her lungs?
probably.
Was it like a pound, 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 let me in kind of thing?
Yeah,
Your Honor, and I would object to the question as a mischaracterization of the witness's earlier testimony
So ruled.
and speculation.
Did it sound like the woman was really angry?
I would say so, just by hearing her voice.
Now, could you see any of this?
No, ma'am.
So even though you were almost a football field away, you could still hear this?
I could hear it.
How long do you think the pounding went on for?
It seemed like it went on forever. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe less, but I mean, I wasn't timing it, but it just went on and on and on.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. So Ms. Smith, how are you doing today?
I'd rather not be here, but I'm great.
Can I ask you a couple of questions? One, you said you were in a patio. Were you outside?
I was outside my apartment, yes.
Is there any type of roof or anything above your patio?
No, there's no roof,
Okay.
just a fence.
So you're outside, and defense counsel asked you a question about it was pound, 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 and did it sound like a let me in? But you testified that you didn't hear any specific words, correct?
And none of them,
Yeah. You couldn't make out any words that were said.
no.
So any idea of what might have been said would be purely guessing on your part,
Absolutely,
pure speculation on your part.
yes,
And you called 911 in this case, correct?
yes,
And you only called 911 after you heard the loud sound, correct?
yes,
All right, and you believe that loud sound to be a gunshot?
yes, I know what it sounds like,
Okay, and it was only after you heard the gunshot that you called 911?
right.
Thank you, no further questions.
Any redirect?
No, sir.
She excused? Ma'am, you're excused with our thanks. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
whoever has saved this copy probably needs to follow on the computer so you can send it to me.
I'm doing it, Your Honor.
I got it.
Okay.
But do you have the copy that, because you fixed errors, did you send those to him?
I have Ms. Sizemore's copy
Fixed.
open on my computer to edit.
Nothing, if you want to clear a room, just mention jury instructions and man, you will clear a room. I feel like that's the way they should, deal with riots. When you start reading jury instructions, they're like, I can't take that. So, okay. Obviously, we'll start with 3.1. Then we'll go to 3.2. Next is 7.1, Introduction to Homicide. I normally don't read the title to that. It just seems like an odd title, Introduction to Homicide.
You're talking about the specific title?
Right. And normally I mean, I don't mind having, I don't mind leaving it there. I'm just saying, I don't usually read it out loud because it's kind of weird
I'll take it out, Judge.
sounding. If you just want to put,
I'll just take it out.
yeah. I feel like an introductory course that,
Law school.
taught to first year law students or something like that. Has everyone looked at 7.1 though?
Yes, Judge.
I mean, leave in the title is justifiable and excusable homicide. Leave that in.
Yes, sir.
In that manslaughter is a firearm, you are identifying the offense as a firearm. But otherwise, I'll read it unless someone else. Huh? It says aggravation of felony by using a firearm.
I mean, I can take that heading out so they're not confused. It's
I mean,
just-
normally we don't identify crimes as either felony or misdemeanor.
Sure.
Although probably people will maybe come to the conclusion that manslaughter is a felony. But if you want me to take it out,
Yeah, we can take out the heading.
I'll take it out.
you can just put the word offense there. Aggravation of offense by using a firearm? Or
Okay.
aggravation of crime, whatever you want to put it.
I'll put aggravation of an offense by using a firearm.
Okay. All right. Otherwise, that's fine. 3.6F, justifiable use or threatened use of deadly force. Have you all looked at that instruction?
Yes, sir, it's pretty, I think it's almost exactly like the one that I had proposed and sent to the state. They just added in that language about the burglary stuff,
Okay.
which I'm not objecting to that.
Yes, Judge.
I'm just reading it as we go along here. All right, so you want to say the person against whom the defensive force was used was in the process of unlawfully and forcibly entering. I mean, I'm trying to read it. Is there some, I'm just kind of thinking as I'm talking to you. We know there's no allegation that the person upon whom the force was used was attempting to remove another against that person's will. Is that a situation where like someone's trying to kidnap somebody out?
Correct. So the person who was.
In that case, we wouldn't need it in this case.
I think only testimony was beating on the door and saying, "Come outside."
Yeah, I guess my only concern is just that testimony about like come outside and her pounding on the door and trying to get in. I don't know if that could be construed as like that she was trying to attempting to get her to come out. I don't know, Judge. I don't wanna waive any arguments in that regard, but I understand the court's position on that.
I don't think the case is gonna turn on that. I'll leave in anything you want me to leave in.
Yes, sir.
So, it will read like this. The person against whom the defensive force was used was in the process of unlawfully and forcibly entering, or had unlawfully and forcibly entered a dwelling or residence, or if that person was attempting to remove another against that person's will from the dwelling or residence. Is that good?
Yes.
So all we're really taking out is occupied vehicle, which doesn't apply, or had removed, which never happened.
Yes.
Okay, good enough. And then between A and B, there's an and, right? So they need both A and B?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And just so we're clear, I don't want to mispronounce, is it Ajika, right? Ajika?
Well, some people say.
I feel like I
Some
feel
people
like I
say
probably mispronounced it at some point. It's not the easiest name to pronounce, and I apologize, but
According to her mother, right?
It's what?
Ajika.
Yeah.
Ajika? I've tried to spell it out here phonetically. It's Ajaka. But I don't want to. And I apologize if I mispronounce it. It's not the easiest thing to pronounce, unfortunately.
Ajika.
Okay. That's why my parents named me Bob. Everyone got that one right. Nevertheless, Ajika. Okay. Okay, so that finishes off that. 3.7, plea of not guilty, reasonable doubt, and burden of proof. Assume you want that one?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,